Hello, parents. Thank you for tuning in today. I apologize for not making it to the back to school night. I have a wedding in the family that was rescheduled to, of course, Wednesday night, which happened to fall on back to school night. And I still want to reach out to you and give you a little bit about me and what chemistry class is like for your students, for your kids. And I want to tell you a little bit about me and what we're doing in the classroom. So thank you for tuning in. At any time you could pause, you can go back. This video is for you. And before I begin, I want to give you my contact info if you need anything. There is my contact info. And the best way to reach me is through email. I get to you right away from there. So if you want to pause this and write down my email, there it is for you. And so that you can come to me with any questions that you might have. A little bit about me. I was born and raised in California, actually. I'm not a Philly person. I grew up in California and lived there into my 20s and moved out here and been living out here now for 7 years and have loved it. I've taught in Hatboro Horsham for 6 and enjoying my 30s out in Pennsylvania. As you can see, I am not a surfer guy. I am a mountain and fly fishing guy. And as much as California is so beautiful with the weather, with the beaches, and how beautiful it is out there, I needed the mountains, I needed my rivers, I needed my lakes, I needed my rain. And as weird as this sounds, I love snow, I love nature. Moved out to Philly, I could afford a house that was a lot cheaper. There's less traffic out here in the greater Philadelphia area. And I haven't turned back since. I have no plans of going back to California. I love it here. I love teaching at Hatboro Horsham. This is a great community. The students have been amazing. You parents have been great and working with me, and I'm so excited to have your kids in my class for this semester. I'm so excited that we are back full time, okay? It was tough last year and has been a crazy 2 years, and I'm so happy that we're all back in the classroom during these wild and crazy times so that we can actually do some chemistry labs, which last year we did virtual labs. This year they can actually get their hands on stuff, which is basically a lot of what chemistry is about. So I'm excited. So I'm going to dive right into it. I told you just a little bit about me. I am a big sports person, as you can see from my Phillies hat. I love me my Philly sports. Phillies, Eagles, Flyers. I love it all. And I originally started coaching. I got a science degree because I love nature and I love the outdoors and I loved how things work. And I worked in a lab for 2 years after college. And after college, I worked in the lab and realized that I didn't really like it that much. I was alone. I didn't have connections with people. And I really enjoyed coaching. I was coaching sports at the time. I was even coaching some fishing and teaching fishing to kids through a program. And even had a science lab where kids on a field trip came in and I taught them science and thought, man, this could be a career for me. And so I switched gears and went into teaching school and got a teaching certificate and haven't looked back since. And so here I am, 11 or 12 overall, 6th year in Hatboro Horsham, and here we go. So that's about me. Let's get into what your kid's going to be learning about. What are they going to be learning about in chemistry? We move fast. It's a college prep chemistry class, and you can see from these units, they're going to get a big base about chemistry and get as much of it as they can. And that base will help them as they go into college. If they decide to take a science class in college, they're going to have that nice chemistry base. If they decide to do a career that involves chemicals, that involves manufacturing, that involves any type of engineering, any type of trade work, they are going to get a nice base of chemistry. We do even bring in real-world things. We bring in household chemicals. We bring in things that apply to them throughout. We will go into atomic structure. So we look at things very abstract at the minute atom atomic level, which is very difficult for them because it's always sometimes hard to visualize because it is so small. We can't see it with our naked eye. We then go into the periodic table and the elements and the different properties of the elements. We even talk about bonding, chemical reactions. They'll even perform the 5 main types of chemical reactions in the lab. Some of those involve some fire, which is nice. So they get to work with the Bunsen burners and they get to do flame tests. We'll even do some stoichiometry, and we'll talk about solutions, molarity. They'll even make concentrations, so they'll be able to calculate concentrations as well. There is a lot of math, but it's all algebra-based. There is nothing that's calculus-based in this class. So it's all very doable. It's just very, 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 very small numbers and very, 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 very big numbers that they work with. So we do scientific notation. And so the math can trip them up as well. We do go into gas laws and, of course, acids and bases, so they get to work with those. In that, we bring in some real-world chemistry about swimming pools and keeping swimming pools safe in terms of acids and bases and calculating the pH. So, in a nutshell, they're getting a lot of chemistry, and you can see from all the units that we do. What does a typical day look like in science? I always post on Canvas every day. Canvas in the announcements section is where I'll post my activities and what we're doing. So you can see CP Chem, here's the announcements. You can see the agenda on September 14th and what we did. If I click on it, they can see we did notes, we did a lab, and then we did a worksheet. All worksheets and all handouts are posted in their OneNote. Their OneNote looks like this. Here is the handouts that I bring out to them. There's even warm-ups for them to do, and it goes in their warm-up section if we do a warm-up in the beginning of the day. We even have our handouts for them to do the labs, and even if there's homework or stuff that's after. I don't usually give homework. This homework's usually stuff we started in class and they didn't finish, and they have to just finish it. I also do notes. As we can see here, I've done some notes which are right here, and I pass these notes out to them. I also record the notes in Microsoft Teams. They are aware of Microsoft Teams because this is what we only used last year during the virtual time. And there is lectures for them to click on. Whenever I do a lecture and I'm teaching the material, I record it. So they can always go back and listen to it. Much like you're listening to me now through a recording, they can listen to my notes through a recording. And when they're studying and getting ready for tests, they can always go back to this. You can see the different notes that I have and the different recordings that I have done. My notes and lectures usually last about 10 to 15 minutes, as you could tell from this video. And there, I then pass out the notes to them. What else do we do in a normal class day? Let's take a look here. We usually work in groups. Once I've done a short lecture, once we've done a warm-up, and I've explained the activity, they then go to their lab stations, and they have an assigned lab station. And that is important that they work collaboratively with their peers. And a week and a half in, they are doing great working with their peers. They have been able to get some experiments done, which I'll show you some pics later. And from there, they've been able to then finish their classwork, or if there's something to practice afterwards. Afterwards, they work on whatever classwork's remaining. I'm not a big homework guy. If there's any kind of homework, it's something that they need to finish that we didn't finish in class. Materials. This is kind of wild and new for me. As young as I am, only in my 30s, it is crazy how much teaching has changed. In the 12 years I've been teaching, it has changed drastically from the notebook and paper to everything being on your laptop. So all a kid really needs to bring to being successful in my class is their laptop charger, and a working stylus. That is it. Even a scientific calculator, it is on their computer, but I like them to bring one so that they just have it right there in their hands. That's it. Nothing else is needed. We are completely paperless. And in fact, the kids adjusted better to it than I did. It was more of a struggle for me to get used to it than it was for the students, I felt like. They are more in that computer world and understanding of it. So everything is in their computer. All their papers are in OneNote. All the assignments are on Canvas. And the lectures are on Teams. Okay? I'll repeat that. All their work is on OneNote. All of their assignments are on Canvas, and all of their lectures that are recorded are on Microsoft Teams. If you want to check your student's grade, that is on through PowerSchool. So everything is found on the computer. My grading policy is simple. Most of the weight of the grade is on my assessments. What does the student know? And so as a result, I do test and quizzes at 60%. If the student fails a test, which happens, I have failed many tests, they can come in during HAT study hall for second chance learning to bring it up to a passing grade. That is only if they failed or bombed a test. So that's a nice little ceiling for them if they did not do well. As we know, we have some tough material in chem. Our projects, labs, and reports are the second highest part of their grade. That is the labs that we're doing, which is so important now that we are not virtual anymore and in the classroom, they can now do labs. 10% of the class is on their bell work and classwork and the practice that they are showing and doing the work to show that they are ready for those tests. Here's some sample pictures of some labs that we did. These are a few of the students in the class. We did a cool little lab. As you can see, we're goggled up and you can see their computers right here. They were looking at what these chemicals were and how are they reacting with each other. And from that, they were trying to figure out what chemicals were causing the bubbles, what chemicals were causing the color change. As you could look closely at that, you could see some color change in there. They were measuring out chemicals as well and using the different chemical activities along with writing down their observations and notes on their computer. As you could tell, the classroom world has changed by a lot. You might recognize some of this stuff in here, parents who had chemistry back in high school back in the day with the chemicals and the lab goggles, but then other stuff you might have never seen before, like, of course, the computers that they are writing their notes into. Again, there is my contact info. I again apologize for not making it. I wish I could meet you in person, but with that being said, please reach out to me if you need anything. This video is yours to access. I'm looking forward to a great year. This is Mr. Adamucci. Call me Anthony, signing off. Thank you again, and look forward to seeing you and talking to you later. Thank you, parents.